Hey everyone, I'm Pacific the Casual Gamer, and welcome back to another episode of 5-Stack vs. Solo Queue. Today, I'm going to be talking about Buck. Buck is, dude, he's a completely different operator when it comes to Solo Queue versus 5-Stack, you know? So, let's get it out of the way, the Solo Queue, how you play Buck when you Solo Queue. First of all, you try to communicate with your teammates, right? You try to figure out, hey, I'm going to do this, can I have someone go upstairs or below with me? Help me do this. If none of them cooperate, that's where it gets really interesting because now you're playing that solo, I got to drone myself. I got to play this game solo, but you're playing at the beginning of the round. It's very different playing as a single operator in the beginning of a round than the end because the enemies don't know where you are until you start shooting in the floor, you kill people, open a window, and you don't know where the enemies are. You don't know who they are. So it's a really unique, it's a terrifying, terrible experience to have to be Buck alone. But it's very different. And it's actually one of the ways that can teach you how to manage when all of your teammates die. And so I'd highly recommend if you suck at 1v2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, to go into solo queue and actually be Buck, right? Most of your operation is the same as Buck above, except you don't, if your teammates are communicating, you can kind of figure out where to open the floor. But for the most part, it's just instinct, right? You know the default spots to open. Maybe you save a couple shotgun shells for your own stuff, and then you just play up above, vertically. If you play alone, it's terrifying because you have to focus on the floor and every single angle around you, right? And it's difficult. It's really, really difficult, and it can make learning vertical gameplay without a 5-stack extremely hard. In fact, I would actually argue that one of the reasons more people don't do vertical gameplay, right? That's an issue in Siege, is vertical gameplay. People don't do it. Is because most people in Siege solo queue, and it's because sometimes you get into those toxic lobbies and it feels like Siege is toxic all the time. What are you going to do? Ask the toxic person to come upstairs with you? No, they're not going to do that. Or below, So that's how Buck is when you're solo queuing. 5-stack, it's complete opposite. You have a very set plan to do, especially if you have strats, right? If you have strats, you and your person going up there with you, the people that are clearing for you, you most likely are Buck and you're going to be droning people. So you're going to be playing more of a support in the beginning. Most likely. Sometimes you're going to be that fragger because maybe you have a Buck and a sledge and you want to save the frag grenades because you spotted something, right? But most of the time you're going to be droning for people and then your sole focus is going to be on that floor. And that can be very dangerous because you lose your sense of awareness. If you're not experienced in a 5-stack in that environment, you're going to be like, all right, I got to take out these bandit charges. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do that. My Capiteo next to me died, but I didn't focus on that. So I'm going to go over here and I died because Capiteo died and I didn't pay attention, right? That's what happens. Or if you only play Buck in a 5-stack, your Capiteo dies and I'm just using Capiteo for some reason, but whatever. Your guy next to you dies and you're up above alone and you have no experience dealing with this and you're stuck, right? But in a 5-stack, you're going to have very specific areas that you're going to buckshot. You can't just tear up the floor initially. You have to understand, you're communicating with your teammates. You're figuring out the location of certain gadgets, certain areas that you're going to open up, and then you go and open it up. And then it's pretty much normal gameplay from there. You just play above. Maybe you get more vertical gameplay because the people protecting you are actually alive. The drones, the claymores, the whatevers, and you're going to get more experience fighting in a vertical gameplay area. But for the most part, the gameplay is the same. But Buck, even though going above people as a solo queue, it really sucks because most of the time you can't get your teammates on your side. Buck is still an amazing solo queue operator. You have flashbangs or a claymore, whichever one you want, and you have an assault rifle, one of the best assault rifles in the game, a decent pistol, a shotgun. It's more of a semi-automatic shotgun with a half magazine size, but you also have soft destruction, right? If you're stuck in a situation where, maybe not with a castle barricade, but you're stuck and you have to open up a soft wall, you have to open up an angle, open up a hatch for an escape, you can do that with the shotgun without the penalty of losing the assault rifle, right? Now, on the other end of the spectrum, in a 5-stack, there's a reason you see Buck all the time. Most of the time, if you have to go up. If you have to go down, there's a reason you see Sledge all the time. Is because those vertical angles are vital. If you horizontally, around the site, have one door in, but you can open up the ceiling so that you put 2 angles on a guy, it's going to make him nervous. The thing about vertical gameplay in Siege, the fear factor of the fact that the ceiling above you or the floor below you is open and people can shoot you if they want from below is terrifying. And it compromises a lot of locations on the map if you do it right. That's why you see operators like Sledge and Buck being played sometimes literally every single round. You know, every single stack of people. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say about Buck as a solo queue versus a 5-stack. I would recommend in a 5-stack or as a solo queue, you try out Buck. You know, I would say especially more for the 5-stack, but if you're curious, solo queue, he's not a bad choice at all. But guys, that's it for this video. If you'd like to support the channel, there's links in the description for the mouse that I use. Those are affiliate links, so that supports me directly. And yeah, I'm Pacific the Casual Gamer. I suck just as bad as you do at video games, and I will see you guys in the next one.